In this Mind the Child to date, I have the honor to have with me Marcelino Oreja. Marcelino is the Chief Executive Officer of Enagas. Hi, Marcelino.
Hello. Good morning.
Nice to see you again. So first of all, congratulations are in order. Enagas has been recognized this year again among the Open Innovation Challengers as part of the Corporate Startup Stars Awards that we run annually. This time the awards have become global, so again, even more important to be in this group of innovation leaders. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was, it's an honor for us to have this award and to push as much as we can entrepreneurship and startups around Spain and now Europe also.
So Marcelino, I think one of the reasons Enagas has been awarded is your very peculiar and I would say also forward-looking approach to open innovation. Rather than or not just looking collaboration with startup, your vision has been to try to stimulate as much as possible what is called employee-led innovation, meaning innovation coming from your own employees. And so I will ask you to start describing a bit the genesis of this process. This has been something that you, as I know, strongly will to do since the beginning.
Well, for us, entrepreneurship is not only a way to invest in startups and obtain some rate of return on our investment, but we are also looking to change the culture of the company and try to have our people looking at entrepreneurship as a way of doing things differently. And that was one of the reasons why we've been always pushing as much as we can entrepreneurship within employees from the company. We are an industrial company, so we many times it's within our employees where we find the good opportunities, good ideas to improve the way we do things in our company. So that's one of the reasons why we've been promoting as much as we can entrepreneurship within our employees these last years, and we will continue to do so as much as we can.
Actually, what you have done starting a few years ago has been quite visionary, because also we are using a framework to try to describe the different ways, the different approaches that today might be considered under the open innovation hat. Again, there is not one way only, there are multiple potential approaches. And one of the trends that are definitely emerging on the one hand is that the concept of corporate accelerators is definitely becoming less and less essential, while there are different models that are definitely emerging. And these different models are, on the one hand, the concept of intrapreneurship, or platform to stimulate innovation from employees. And on the other hand, the concept of venture builder, meaning the fact that we are trying to build or co-build new ventures, mixing internal and external resources. And again, if we look back what you have done in the past few years, exactly what you've done. So that's, again, is a testimony of your ability to be quite a visionary. And I think that's something that needs to be recognized simply. And so good job, definitely. And that's, I believe, is very, very important, the conversation we're having today, because I would like to go into details in terms of explaining how the process has been designed since the beginning. And as I know, there is a program called Ingenia Business, that is the part that is definitely more closer to the concept of entrepreneurship. And then there is Enagás Emprende, that is the part that is more closer to the concept of venture build. I may ask you to go through it, describing step by step how the process does work.
Yeah, well, since 2015, we started with this program. So we have Enagas launches a program and a call for ideas that's called Ingenia Business. Until this last edition, it was only open to employees from the company. So we were only looking for employees from the company proposing their own ideas, and we will help them through a process where they will have some spare time to transform the idea into a business plan and a real company. After that, the company had to decide if we were investing or not in that idea, transform into a business plan and a project of a new company. This last edition that took place just a few weeks ago incorporated also the opportunity for others from outside the company to propose ideas, and there was something interesting. We found that there were employees from the company getting along with people from outside the company and proposing ideas to this program, to this Ingenia Business. That was something really interesting. No? So we were attracting talent from outside the company together with people from the company. So the idea is to try to help these entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs from the idea to a project through a process with some mentoring from the company. There's some top executives of Enagas that act as mentors of these projects and mentors from the outside, and with some help from Enagás Emprende, who's really the owner of this idea of this project of Ingenia Business. It's been really successful, so we've launched a few companies through this project and this process that's really now part of our culture. So we've been doing this for 5 years now, and everyone is expecting the next edition, the launching of the program, or the day that we have the awards day. This was in November, of course. It had to be digital, but otherwise it's like a big party for the company.
And the fact that people are expecting such a thing is something that we also see in other corporates that have been successful in launching initiatives like that. And it also means that your original goal that was also trying to change or transform the culture of your company has been accomplished. Because again, when people are looking at something, I believe it's also a good sign that something has changed inside the company, and entrepreneurship is not something that is perceived as something strange that is paracute into the company, but something is becoming part of the company.
It needs time, and you always have people fighting against this idea. No? There's plenty of anticorps now that virus is in our life. No? Plenty of anticorps that come into fighting against this way of doing things and changing the culture of the company. So it's not easy. The people from Enagás Emprende have to convince the rest of the company many times. So it's not easy to promote this type of intrapreneurship or entrepreneurship within employees of the company, because many of the others are fighting against these ideas. So it's not easy, but we're doing well, I think. Yeah.
It takes time. Again, it started, as you said, a few years ago, and probably there is some road ahead of you to make it better. But again, the direction, I think, is pretty identified. And going back to the process, how the process does work. Typically, how many ideas did you receive per year, and how long does it take to come to final selection?
Well, we receive, I think we received more than 200 ideas. More than 10% of the employees of the company have one time at least presented an idea to this program. So at least 150 employees from the company have one time at least presented an idea. So that's huge. No? That's a lot of people involved in this type of project or opportunity. What we do is we award 3 projects. So 1 award, 1 first, and 2 exits. Of course, we look for projects where the entrepreneurship is important, where the team is very important. So how the team looks for us is very important. The idea, the visibility. So we have a board that decides whom to promote, and there's a long way to change that idea onto a possible investment for the company.
That is the venture builder part.
That's the venture builder part, yeah.
But staying still on the entrepreneurship program, because again, one of the trends that we are seeing is that obviously more corporate are trying to turn this platform into a process for originating ideas. On the other hand, when you do that, you're being to be very, very selective. And being very selective meaning say no to most of the ideas, most of the projects. And sometimes, if the process is not properly working, create frustration, create sorts of negative feelings. How do you manage that? Because that is...
Well, I mean, you have to select. The selection process is difficult. So we try not only to have 2 or 3 selected and pushing only 2 or 3, but having the others or giving the others the opportunity to be involved in a pilot or working together with the company in order to see if what they are thinking as an opportunity, it's a real opportunity in the future. So the work that the team does is amazing to try to connect these ideas and entrepreneurs with the industrial part of the company. And that's a daily work, and it's very important for us to not to produce any frustration around these people that have been working hard to propose ideas to this program, to Ingenia Business.
Yeah, because the typical outcomes are that you're putting a lot of effort because you have your own expectations, and then your idea is not selected. And I think one of the part that we believe are the most important is to provide feedback in terms, yes, you have not been selected for these and these and these reasons, and that is something that you can do to make it better and try again maybe next year. That's the process that most of the time is underestimated, requires, as you said, a lot of time, a lot of effort from your team to manage, because the more ideas that you get, the more feedback you need to provide, and this is becoming quite challenging.
Many times you have ideas that will never be, transformed into a business plan and a company or a new startup. But many of those ideas could be used by the company to help us to, to be more efficient or more quick or more clean or reduce our emissions or whatever. So we have to take care, because many of those ideas can be used even if they cannot be transformed into a startup. And for many of those, or the employees that are presenting these ideas, they are not really only thinking in a startup and to have their own new, career around the startup, but to help the company to fulfill their commitments in climate change, fight against climate change, or efficiency, or better business models, if it's the case. So that's the job that the people from Enagás Emprende has to take care of, and they do a great job looking at all those opportunities and look at to see if they can fit in our strategy, in our industrial part of our company.
And that goes to a point that is important to highlight, because one of the things that makes your Enagás model quite peculiar is that it's supposed to create, to spin off new entities, new business that are sort of startup-like. So you create startups inside of the company. Not all the entrepreneurship program have this goal. Some of them just are interested to get new ideas to be handed over to the business unit. And so this is the very peculiar characteristics of your model. And obviously, if the goal is to create new company that can be standalone entities and stay on the market, obviously the level of the game is even more increased. You don't just have to have good ideas and a fun application, but you have a new idea that is able to create a new company that is able to have its standalone path despite being synergic to Enagas. And so that is very, very peculiar. What's, again, going back to your vision, what has been the reason of this specific choice that you took? And if you are still happy about the initial direction that you gave to the program, or you're considering also to evolve it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say the easiest way is the venture building. I mean, the easiest way is buy 5 to 10% in different startups, analyze those technologies, use that venture building business as a way to understand what technology looks like, and rotate your investments in those venture building companies, and even go through funds that will reduce more your risk and your responsibility. So we've taken this way for many reasons. One, because it's the only way to really change the culture of the company and to promote entrepreneurship within the company. It's the only way, because you're changing people that have been working in a regulated business, who are not very risk averse. I mean, our company, and any regulated company, is normally a company with predictable cash flows. So you're going into something completely different, and you're not only changing the entrepreneurs themselves and the employees that promote these companies, but all the company with them, because the control team will have to understand that they will have to control a company with no predictable cash flows, with risks around that business. So you are changing also the people in the corporate level, controlling and analyzing these opportunities. So that's one of the reasons why I think we have to change culture of companies like ours. We are a company that was 8 years ago regulated, 100% regulated in the Spanish market. Now we have 30% to 40% of our activity outside Spain, and we are diversifying our activity, investing in new opportunities in Spain in renewable gases. So to do so, we need a team that's prepared to take risks, assume risks, and understand them and limit them. So that's one of the reasons, the main one. The second one is because, I mean, in our company, 50-year-old company, that's been dealing with the gas, high pressure transport in Spain, and Regas, one of the bigger companies in Regas around the world, we have very good technicians who really can understand what should be done to improve the way we are doing our activity, our industrial activity. So many times when my board tells me, why are we investing here? Why did we find this idea? Because we have very good guys. The most experienced technical guys around regasification around the world are in Spain, in Enagas. So this is a very good way to promote ideas that could help us to be a better company, more efficient, and to fight against climate change. Those are the two reasons. I mean, we have them, we have those people inside, and we will change the culture of the company by promoting this idea. But I tell you, we have many people around the team who doesn't still understand that this is needed. And it's normal. That's the way it is.
It's totally normal, again, particularly talking about, as you said, company working in the regulated business. Again, it's difficult to try to think about a new business cost containment when you're not a huge pressure from the market, and that's at the time becoming a sort of roadblocker for entrepreneurship, or being an entrepreneur, because you don't have the urge to do anything like that. And so I got your point, and it's quite important. Going back to your program and going to the venture builder part. So you have this entrepreneurship program. It comes to a selection. You come down to 3 ideas, and then you build a company out of them. How does it work? What are the team that is supporting that? What kind of activities are performed to turn this idea into a business plan, into a new company?
Well, the entrepreneurs, or the future entrepreneurs, the ones that have been awarded or selected by us to move from a project, an idea, to a real startup, so they have some time off during the week. So the company allows them to spend 1 day per week, 1 afternoon, 2, as much as is needed to move from the project to the startup. Between those days, or during that period of months, could be, or normally is a few months. They have a space when they can do this, so they have a specific space. We call it Enagas Fab. So we have an area in the office. Of course, now these last months everything has been digital, but they even have that space if they want to be there. They have some help from the corporate in finance, in the legal area, in all the corporate areas they would need. So they have some mentoring, I was saying before. So they have mentors at the C-level internally and mentors from outside. They have the support of Enagás Emprende, and we have a team, a very professional team who helps them to transform their idea into a business plan. And some expenses are paid also, so they can develop a pilot. They can expend some money on behalf of the company to make real the project, and they will present this to our investment committee in Enagas, and it will be Enagas who will invest in that project if it's the case, and we think it makes sense to do that investment. And they will have to invest together with Enagas too. So we ask the entrepreneurs to be co-investors of their own projects, of course.
And at this point, so 3 projects out of the entrepreneurship program, then these 3 projects have how much time to prove that the business
Well, it takes a few months. It takes a few months, but it depends. I mean, when you have a pilot behind, when you need to prove, you have you need to prove that it works or not. I mean, depends on the project. It's difficult to.
Yes,
but we're not speaking of weeks. We're speaking of months. I mean, we need those ideas to become projects, and that will be presented to the investment committee to be very concrete.
And when they come to the investment committee, you get to a yes or no decision if you continue.
That's it.
And if you come to a yes decision, they will create a new company.
That's it. A new company with
participate in the company.
Enagas will be part of that. Normally, until now, we've had a big part of the shares, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that in the future we will find perhaps. I like to have those companies co-invested with other corporates. That's something I'm working on. That will be also helpful for them. But it depends. It depends on the case. I mean, it's not the same startup related to something very with a heavy investment in infrastructure, or a startup related to digital transformation or to software where the investment to be done is smaller.
And let's open the door to a very, very sensitive topic, talking about large corporation and entrepreneurship are incentives. Because again, you mentioned we give these people some time off in during obviously the beginning, some small time off probably is in the spare time to prepare the idea. When the idea is approved, they have some time off to work on that. And at a certain point, they become, I don't know, they are getting out of Enagas. They stop to being Enagas employees and becoming employees of the new entity. How does it work?
Well, it depends. Many times there's only, there's only 1 or 2 of them. I mean, if there's a group that has proposed the idea, only 1 or 2 becomes entrepreneur. Depending on the size of the company, they will skip Enagas and be fully dedicated to the new entity. In other cases, they just support it from as they continue to be in the previous post. There's no depends on the type of company and the type of entrepreneurs we are supporting. There's not a clear rule. And one of the things that it's important for this type of projects to succeed is to have a toolbox and a different conditions for each of those companies. It's different for the type of company, the industry, the type of activity that going to develop, who's the promoter, the main promoter of the project. So we have to adapt and to customize a little bit what we are doing for each of those projects. And the ones we have today, they are a bit different. So in some cases, you have the founder that had the idea who's now working full-time for that company, and the company has been sold in other cases, or we have new shareholders coming in. In others, they have looked for someone in the market and who's leading that opportunity. And in some cases, we have even bought the shares of the entrepreneurs that proposed the idea years ago. So there's not, I mean, it's difficult, and this is part of what's difficult in our success or future success, is that each case is particular. It's very difficult to have a general rule for this type of companies.
Yes, we used to say there are no silver bullets for anything. We need to adjust. But the point that people can get time off while working on the ideas, and the fact that they may get a piece of the company that they will contribute to generate, is something I would say is not so obvious and trivial in the corporate world, because again, one of the main struggle of corporates are launching programs like this, and there's a certain point when we're talking about incentives that at the end are the real engine for making things happen. Most of the corporates at a certain point they back off. They say, well, we cannot give shares, it's too complicated, that our compensation package doesn't allow. Again, this is the typical point.
This happens here also. I mean, many people say no, that's not possible. There's a conflict of interest. You're giving this to this one and not to the other one, and you are. And there's a, yeah, but I mean, if you want to promote entrepreneurship and the change of the culture, you have to be ready to compensate the ones that are really entrepreneurs compared to the others. But then you have this corporate level that says we all have to be the same. It's true. It's true.
And the fact that you find a way, I think it's quite make your example very, very interesting.
I mean, you know what we need? We need a big success story. So we need to sell and to exit one of these companies. That's going to be the real change for the company. When we understand that what we've been doing, also, it's not only because changing the culture of the company, we all understand it's important. It's very difficult to measure. So how the culture is changing is something that depends who you speak with. It's changing or not. And some would tell you, what do you want to change the culture of the company? What do you want a company where you want to have people entrepreneur, open-minded, changing and not being risk averse as they were. So you could have people challenging that decision. But if you succeed economically, no one will have no doubts that you were on the right way. So that's the next step we will need to find, and I hope we'll do it in a few months.
But you already, again, probably is missing the poster children story to be hanged in all the walls of the company. But again, as far as I know, you've been quite successful in spinning off some companies that are reach a certain size, reach a level of employees. Can you tell us a bit of some of your not complete but relevant success stories?
I mean, what we've succeeded because some of those companies we have bought them again. So here, I mean, some entrepreneurs had ideas. We promoted those ideas. Those ideas became companies, and Enagás bought those companies again because we think they should be managed 100% by Enagás. So that's already a success story.
Yes.
Today we have 500 employees, 450 employees in this startup, around these startup companies. And Enagás is only 1,300, 400 employees. So almost 1/3 of the employees, or we have a group of companies that employ almost 1/3 of the employment of Enagás. So that's huge.
That's a lot.
But we have to maintain that employment in the long term. And the best way to do so is to see if we can sell shares or sell one of those companies and have them become would mean outside the Enagás umbrella. I hope that will happen after COVID sometime next year. So we've succeeded because those companies are alive. We haven't closed any company yet. It's a bit tricky. We haven't closed them because they have the support of Enagas, and they have been supported by Enagas, or they are in Enagas fields. But we haven't closed any. They are all alive, and I hope we will find shareholders to invest together with us in many of them.
In one of our prior conversation, I was particularly intrigued by one point that you made, that was the need, again, you are starting new companies underneath the Enagás umbrella, and you say that it's important to give them as part of the sandbox special treatment in order to avoid that you turn them into small monsters that get all the legacy of the large company. Can you elaborate this a bit more?
Yes, well, we have a special sandbox, so those companies have a special. I mean, they have to fulfill and to follow all policy, Enagas policy, of course, but we try to make their life easier. I mean, it's not the same to invest in in 1 billion investment in the US for Enagas than investing 100,000 in a small pilot for one of these companies. So we try to make life easier, and they have a certain sandbox where they can move in and they can decide things quicker. Of course, they also have the access to their mentors who are C executives. So you have small businesses, but they are connected to the top of the organization, and that also helps to move things quicker. And many times, I mean, I'm very involved in them, so I try to help them as much as I can. That helps, of course, if the CEO calls someone, takes to this or that. Normally it works. It takes me some time, but it works. For the moment, we are not too many, and we don't have too many investments, so it works this way. So we have like a formal way to reduce bureaucracy and control, and you have an informal way, I would say, more important even than the formal way, having these small companies access to the top management of the company. So you need the top management of the company involved in these new ventures. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
No, that is very true, because again, one of the typical, we are trying to benchmark corporates in open innovation. And open innovation is most of the time is a buzzword, but there are corporates that are doing something good. And if we really want to make a distinction between the company that are doing something good and the other company just mostly talking or working in what is called the innovation theater, is more marketing than results. One of the main differentiator is the top level buy-in, meaning the ability to someone from the top really want that things to happen. And I believe that you quite represent the concept of top level buy-in, because I know how much you are involved with this company, how much you believe in this project. And so that is also probably is one also the reason of success of this, because you pay personal attention to that, and this your example also is able to contaminate the rest of the top management to do the same, and that's turned into.
What's difficult here is to measure success.
Yes,
what is success?
Question. Yes.
So success is rate of return, is the exit, is the EBITDA of those companies. Is it the risk? Is it what's success? And when you come to this, and success is very difficult to measure, because we're not measuring investments and rate of returns on investments. You're measuring access to new technology, understanding of new ways of work, understanding of new cultures, access to others, giving the opportunity to young entrepreneurs to work together with you, changing the company. That's very difficult to measure. The only way you can measure yourself is by numbers. So we will measure ourselves the one we will succeed on an exit. But before that, I think we've been successful, but it's difficult to prove. And you always will have in the management teams people that think that the only thing interesting is rate of return and you will have to accommodate all these type of initiatives around the social responsibility. So you have two worlds. You have the real economic world, where you have to have very good results, and social responsibility. And I think you cannot separate them. It's part of the same. Because anything we will do today will be seen in years from now. And everything we don't do today, it's stealing money for the future. It's very easy not to do today things that are going to be good for my P&L this year. But that's stealing money for the future. So it's difficult to measure success, very difficult to measure success. And that's part of the challenge. When you do an investment, success is very easy. Rate of return. How much is my return in the short or long term? How much does my asset, the value of my asset today? In these cases, that's very difficult. And that what makes it difficult in many cases.
Now, this is you open a big topic that, by the way, is a typical topic that we are facing while having similar conversation with the corporate venture capital unit. Corporate venture capital unit, by definition, are supposed to invest into something that will help to reshape the company in 10 to 15 years from now. And if they do their job properly, the return on investment might be poor, or the return on investment might be in the short term almost not particularly relevant. And that's created a sort of dichotomy between you are pursuing strategic goals or financial goals, or them both. And then you are swinging between strategic, financial, and there's a very complicated discussion if you don't put also the time horizon that you're looking at into the equation. Because again, it's easy probably to get a good financial return if you're investing short term, because if you're doing something, particularly if you are solving the needs that you have today, you can find probably some good technology you can implement, and you can have an impact on your P&L today or tomorrow, or something that you can see the impact because it improved the EBITDA and everything is happy. But this is something that you're working on very actual and need of today and maybe tomorrow, but not the needs that you might have in the day after tomorrow. And that is the more complicated thing. So when you are reshaping the culture of a company, when you are trying also to look forward, a bit more forward-looking, obviously the measuring and the grasping the results immediately is very, very complicated. That's for you sort of dilemma that you just pretty interesting.
In many cases, we will be investing in technology that will help our industry to change, to reshape. So we are investing in opportunities or in technologies that will contribute to fight against climate change. For all of us, that's very important. That's a priority for our company. But we will be investing, I don't know, in ways to produce cheaper biomethane. It's perhaps not us who's going to really have a return on those investments, but the industry is going to profit about that, and we are in the gas industry. So that's where I see that success is difficult to measure. I mean, we are investing in different type of technologies. Not all of them are going to be successful. All of them related to the cheapest way to produce biomethane from different types of waste. That's going to be important. That will allow many of them, or some of them, to produce cheap biogas or biomethane, and that biomethane will flow through our network. That's important for us, but perhaps we won't get the return of those investments directly. So we'll get indirect returns, and this is going to happen in 5 or 10 years from now, where many of the top executives of these companies are not going to be here anymore. So it's very difficult to ask people, think about something that's going to happen when you won't be here anymore. That's the challenge of this. It happened with classical R&D, but with R&D, it the same as we were saying with social responsibility. R&D, it seems like a box outside the company. No, some crazy guys are doing R&D. Let them do them. They'll assign them a bit of money every year so they can develop their R&D projects, and let's see if some of those things improve our activity or our returns. But this type of activity of corporate entrepreneurship has to be mixed with the company. That's what makes it difficult and challenging. And of course, I'm very happy to do what I do, and I think it's going to help the company in the future. I'm really convinced that it has changed and will change the company.
Yeah, and again, trying to doing something that probably we won't be there when the results need to be harvested, I think, is what makes the difference between what are called visionary leaders compared to people that just are running the show for the time being. And again, if we move the discussion from corporate level to political level, probably we can have a similar conversation. But I don't want to open that door because it might be complicated. Final question for you is, again, you have been running this since, let's say, a certain period of time, also since the early days when these things probably were not as cool as are today. And so that's, I think, is a good sign that you were, again, forward-looking. And so what could be the main recommendation that you give to a chief executive officer today that is start approaching the open innovation, the intrapreneurship topic? What are your been the top 3 recommendations, if any, to your colleagues that are entering the arena a bit later?
Well, you have to think in the long term. That's the first thing. Be really convinced, because that, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to achieve any result. To know that you're going to have many people against and many people around the company, within the company, that will think that this is not needed, and try to find some success stories. So some real companies that you can easily explain that this was a success story in this case, and perhaps know that you're going to have many anticorps against you. So plenty of vitamins.
Okay, I think it's the perfect way of ending, also given the overall circumstances we are surrounded. So being optimistic, I think, is the way of doing. Thanks a lot again for the time. Thanks a lot again for the work that you're doing, and congratulations for the work you've done that, as said, has been also this year recognized again among the corporate startup stars. So congratulations and thank you.
Alberto, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this support, because this helps also for me, for the team, and for the company. So thank you very much. Hope we can see each other soon, no? And next year is going to be better than this one.
We'll definitely meet in Madrid as soon as I can get there.
Okay.
Bye, Marcelino. Thank you.